Hi, so today I'm going to show you how I'm going to try to repair a customer who tried to install a DC HDMI kit onto his Dreamcast, and I'll show you here what he did. I don't think he used the correct soldering iron and stuff, and he really made a mess of the flat cable install here. So I'm going to show you briefly how I remove the flex cable from the motherboard, how we clean it up, and then we'll just do a normal install, and I will see if he didn't kill any pads on the cable and stuff, and then I'll show you the working console with the DC HDMI board installed. So he told me he didn't power up the console, so there shouldn't be any problem in removing this mess and doing the install again. So I'll show you right now how to remove it. So we need flux, a lot of flux, like this. And also between there, it's loose, it's already loose, so it's not okay. Not necessary. And then I'm not going to use a soldering iron for this. I'm going to use hot air. So I have my JVC station, hot air station here, and I'll just turn it on. Not so. So if it heats, when it heats up, then it really should come loose very easily. So you don't have to pull very hard. And yeah, I think there are some pads missing on the flex cable. Yeah, there really are some pads missing over there, and also on the other side. So I think this cable is for the bin, but I'll try to do my best. I'll try to clean it up. And we'll see. So I see the pads over here also on the chip here, which are left, so that's not a good sign. It's a shame, but I'll have flex cables, extra flex cables coming in from Dan, Citrus 3000 PSI soon, so I'll change the flex cable if I cannot fix this, but we'll see, because not all the pads are used to connect to the chips. So I believe this is the audio DAC, so maybe we'll install it, we'll get an image from the video DAC, but we don't get the audio, so we can prove that everything still works how it should. So now I just use my solder wick to remove the extra solder which is in here. We'll go over it another time. Try to remove as much as solder as possible. Yeah. He bent a few pins also, I believe. Do it with a bit of more solid flux. Add a bit of more flux so we can remove it easier. another round of flux. Another clean piece of solder wick to touch up the capacitors also over here. And it should be fairly clean right now after this run. There seem to be some of the pins which are bent together, like this one over here. These two pins are bent together, so it doesn't connect to the right pad, but they connect to the left pad together. I believe this one also is the same. So we need something very small to push between the pins, and then heating it, and then we try to remove them together. It's a real mess what happened here. So it's not just the solder blob. Yeah. If necessary, I can remove this audio DAC, and I can replace it completely with the hot air station, but we'll see if we have to go that way. I try to do my best to unsolder these two pins together, but that's what I'm going to need my microscope to do. So I'm going to put on my smaller SMD soldering iron and use my microscope. I'm going to find the best possible way to release these pins. We'll see what we can do. It's a real mess. That one went fairly good. Yes. That one isn't connected to the other one anymore, bent against the other anymore, so that's good. But the one adjacent to it also has. Okay. So that's fairly clean. I'm really happy with that. That's beautiful. Okay, that's straight again. So I'll need this wick to get rid of the extra solder between them, but it should be okay. I don't know if the pad beneath the pin is also broken, but okay, so we'll try the next pin that's bent together. So I'll try to heat it and then push it a bit. Okay, that's fairly clean. It's not straight, but I'll do it again. Heat it up. Push it a bit. That's straighter. That's better. And that's no. That's perfect. Okay, so that's aligned perfectly. I bent another. It's a bit of nightmare. Okay. Okay, that's fairly good. So I'll check with the microscope the rest of the pins, which are fairly good. Just going to touch them up to see that everything is still connected to the pads below. Not too bent out of. Okay, this one. Okay. This one is still a little bent, so I'll try to put it a bit more straight onto the pad, but first I have to heat it so I don't break anything. Okay, yes, that's good. So the pads are not together anymore, and they are straight connected. I don't think there is a pad below that has been destroyed, so we can clean this up first so we have a better look, and then we do the flex cable. We continue with the flex cable install. Okay. Okay, so the flex cable has been really destroyed, but it's mostly the audio part, and for what I can see it's only 4 connections, so I'll try to solder the pads who still exist. It's about 5 pads. I don't think every signal is there, but then afterwards we'll check which signal is missing, and maybe I can use a very small wire to connect to it and connect to the leg of the chip that way with a small wire. But that's we'll do that afterwards. I'll first solder the flex cable to the video DAC connections, and then I'll solder what's left to the audio DAC, and then we'll see what happens, how far we can get. I'll try to jump the connections to the audio deck which are not there anymore, the pads, with a small wire. So we'll see. For that I will use the microscope. I'll first try to put the flex cable in place as good as I can. Okay, so now it's secured to the points. I will use my microscope to go over the small pins, and we'll connect them that way. Yeah, some of the pads are really missing, so I doubt there will be audio, but we'll see. what we can do to fix that with jumping the wires. Jumping some small wires. Shouldn't be that much, but no guarantees there. So I think that this install has been done with an iron that was too hot, and that's why the pads were melted off. So never go above 350 at 240, 340, 335, 350 maximum. Never go hotter. Maybe if you're not into if you don't do this a lot, maybe use 300 degrees, not more, because you cannot hold that temperature for very long on the pads or they will melt, as we see in this case. It's all crooked. I'll try to do my best to get it connected, but it's not easy. Try to put some fresh solder into the mix and see if that will help the connections. So that's one, that's the second one. Okay, that's the third one I can do. Don't think it will be enough, but we'll see how far we get. that's the audio DAC part for as far as we can go. Now we'll do the video DAC. That's not damaged, so we should be able to do that fairly easily. Okay. Now the other side. Okay, so those are the connections to the chips, and then we'll do the big connections, the pads to the resistors here, or the caps here. That's one. I already did the other one. The power is already connected. This pads, the upwards of the VGA label, that one is burned off, so we will not be able to solder this. We'll see if it's needed or not. We'll check. We'll check what we have to do there. Else we have to jumper a wire to somewhere on the board. I believe it runs somewhere over this part, this connector, so we'll check, and then we'll need to make this connection over here. also. We'll see what we have to do to get this running, or at least give us an image. So that's the connections. Okay, so it has power. I think that's the ground part, maybe. Okay, we'll see. We'll see what it does. Okay, so in looking through the microscope and cleaning up everything, I noticed there are a lot of the pads that came from the flex cable that went under the chip, in between the legs, and they're making contact. So the only way that to clean it underneath the chip legs is to remove the chip. So I'm going to show you how. I'll show you. So I set up my hot air station to give me a vacuum on this little piece here. So I'll turn on the hot air station, and I'll put on the vacuum, and I'll push down this little thingy, and then it will grab onto the chip and it will pull it up with a vacuum. And I will use the hot air to go around the chip, and then it should start desoldering and should come loose, and then we'll be able to clean the pads, and then we can go further by that way. There's no other way of doing this than to remove that chip. It's really nasty, the problem. So yeah, if you don't really know what you're doing and you're saying, okay, I'm going to try to do this, maybe think again, because there's so many things that were ruined on this console with the install that it's not it's not funny anymore. It's fixable though, I hope, but it will take some time and some extra equipment that not everybody has, a vacuum soldering station, hot air, that kind of stuff. So you really need to know what you're doing and have the correct equipment to even fix this. We're going to remove the big chip now with a vacuum. So I'll turn on the vacuum like this. Now we put the little stencil, the little pump on there like that, and it should grab onto the chip. Now it's pulling the chip up with the vacuum, and I'm going to take my hot air, and then we're going around the chip to desolder it, and then it should lift. I'm going to put a little bit more. So as you can see, you can remove the chip very easily by that, by hot air and the vacuum, and you can see out in there are the pads that came loose on the flex cable, and they were short circuiting the pins. So yeah, there you have it. It's removed, so I'm going to clean it up and then I'm going to put it back. Turn on the vacuum so we can drop off the chip like that. Okay. So the first thing you do is heat up the wick and go over the pads so most of the solder is gone. Okay, it's two sides. So that's clean. Now the chip itself. Just the pads that came off the flex cable. I'll try to get it in a picture. They're in between the legs of the chip, but not on the outside but on the inside. And it's short circuiting everything. So yeah, there you have it. That should be it. No more bridges between pins. Okay. Okay, so to get this back, I'm going to put some new flux on there. Then we position the chip back, and then we'll use hot air again to heat everything, but not as much as airflow, and then dynamic tension should resolder and position the chip on its paths the right way, and then afterwards we have to go over every leg with small soldering iron to make sure they're properly connected. Okay, so now we're going to check every connection of the chip with the board on every side with the microscope and reflow it with the soldering iron. So you really want to make sure you get every pin, you touch every pin, so you're 100% sure it's connected properly to the board if you use this method. So that's the chip. So we need extra flux. And then we'll try this again. So that should be it. I'm happy I noticed the short circuits between the chip legs before I turn it on. So we'll see what it does. Also the pad that was torn off by the customer on top of the VGA. It has to be connected to this connector here, to this point. So I made a wire connection to there. So we'll assemble the console, clean it up a bit, and then we'll see, first clean it up, then assemble the console, and then see if we have a picture. We'll do that, I'll do that, and then I'll get back to you. So this is the console that we fixed. So we removed the Sega audio chip, we cleaned the pads, we put the chip back on. Yes, we jumpered the wire from the VGA point here to the connector there. I did HDMI, DCHDMI install on the console, so I put the board in there. Under there I've connected the flex cable. So now we're going to do the assembly of the console, and we're going to see if it works, what we did. So yeah, it's been a bit of a pain in getting this console to where it is right now. I hope it's in working condition. So we'll just start the basic assembly of the parts, so the controller parts, the controller ports. Here, the PSU. So that's that. And the power supply part also in here, like that. Make sure it's tight. We connect the cable, and then you need to connect the fan because it has a circuit detection, the original BIOS. If there is no fan or no CD drive, you won't have an image, it won't turn on. We'll just put in a basic drive, like that. Now we connect the HDMI, the mini HDMI cable, to the console. This power, controller, like this, and I will turn it on. And you see we have fixed the console. Nice. And then we'll bring up the DCHDMI menu. Go to the test bit. Here. Nice. So there you have it. The console can go back to the original owner, fixed. And yes, you see, it's if it's not severely damaged, then we can fix it. So if you have stuff for me to fix, or if you like this video, please subscribe and give a thumbs up. I'd like to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.